Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste. We've been talking about philosophy, and I know it's a very delicate subject. Some people think it's really serious, and if you talk about philosophy and you study philosophy, you have to be very serious, and you can't have fun at all. So let's dispel that theory and talk about the schools of philosophy as a path to communion, a path to the perfection of unity. So we started with Charvak, and we said everything that we got in the mind came from the senses. So if you want your mind to be happy, make your senses happy. And I'm sure a lot of you can make sense out of that. And then we went to Nyaya and said, well, there's other stuff going on upstairs, other than my senses. I think, oh boy, do I think. I think. Cogito ergo sum. I think, and therefore I am. And I'm not going to tell you what I am, but I do think. And from Nyaya and all their different modes of proof of how do we know what we know, and how do we understand what we understand, how do we prove that what I'm thinking is true. We remember we had Pataksh, which was seeing or perceiving empirically through the senses, and we had Anuman, which was making inference, deductive logic or inductive logic, and then we had Anuman and Upaman, and then that was making allegories and stories and relationships and trying to create analogies of similarities and metaphors of disparities. And then we had Shabda, where somebody who's really respected, like my guru, says it's true. And then, of course, we had, from Shabda, we had Prakash. We had an intuitive cognition. I never saw my headache, but I sure felt it. I never saw my heart full of love. We've dissected many cadavers over many, many years of time, and history has never shown us a heart full of love, but we experienced it anyway. So there were 5 kinds of knowledge and 5 kinds of proof, and these all gave us the Vaisheshika philosophy, which said, hey, I only know this material world. I can't know to a certainty the spiritual world. Shankya came along and said, well, the material world alone is not sufficient to describe all of this. There's got to be something else other than the material, and that we'll call soul. We'll call that Purush, full and complete and perfect consciousness, which perceives Prakriti. And that Prakriti has 24 principles, which, if we can control the 24, we can go inside and meet the Purush. And he said, start with the 5 karmendriyas, the 5 organs of action, and then control the 5 gyanendriyas, the 5 organs of knowledge. And then we will perceive that all that we see is comprised of 5 Panch Mahabhuts, 5 constituent elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And then all that we perceive inside, the tanmatras, the embodiment, the measurement of the embodiment of perception. The tanmatras. These are sight, smell, sound, taste, and feelings. They're all inside. And they relate to the outside. Now we're getting someplace, because we get to the antakaran, the inner cause, and that is Mon, which is subjective thought, all the adjectives and adverbs of my experience. And Buddhi, all the nouns and verbs of experience, that's the objective knowledge. And Chitta is all the knowledge, that's Buddhi and Mon together. and me. Ahamkar. The I that says, I am different. My perceptions are different. My thoughts are different. My storehouse of experience is different. My chitta is different from everyone else's. Those are the 24 principles of Shankya philosophy that define Prakriti, that allow us to move inside and meet the Purush. Hello, Mr. Purush. And now we come to the next step in the evolution of philosophy, which is yoga. The purpose of my life, the greatest achievement of my life, the goal of my life is to unite my Purusha and my Prakriti. If I can create a bond of union between Purusha and Prakriti, I can discriminate. This is for my Prakriti and this is for my Purusha. And this is for the transient world and my interaction therewithin. And this is for my eternal world, which is not going to change. It's like we were talking about the cross of Christianity. The transient world is the horizontal member, which defines the relationship between man and society, or between man and man. And that's different in every society, and it's constantly changing. The vertical member defines the relationship between man and God, and that's the same. And every religion and every scripture and every philosophy always contains all of the elements of a harmonious life. So it says, what is harmony between man and society? And what is harmony between man and God? So yoga defines the purpose of life as the perfection of union between the Purusha and the Prakriti, and establishes 8 steps in the process of that attainment. What do you want to be when you grow up? A yogi. The 8 steps in the path are yam, niyam, asam, pranayam, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Well, we all know that intellectually. However, to actually live by that roadmap, by those steps, how do I come to union? Yam. Yam means to take control. Yam, he is the god of control. He is also known as death, because Yam takes all the yum and says, yummy, yummy. This is my class, I'll teach it the way I want. Yam is the ultimate destination into which all that has come into manifestation dissolves. So all the little yums become yum, yum to yam. Yam means to take control. You define the goal, define the path. Now, niyam means discipline. Make a discipline. Budget our time, budget our energy, budget our resources. You cannot make a budget, you can't make a discipline, you can't make a niyam until you have a yam. So no talk about, I'm going to do the puja, and I'm going to take this sankalpa and that sankalpa, and I'm going to do this and that and the other thing until you've got the plan. It all starts with the inspiration, that Vaishnavachara. You take the inspiration and then you say, that's where I want to go. And you make the commitment and you achieve freedom through commitment. We don't ever achieve freedom from commitment. You're always committed or committable. You should be committed. If you don't have a commitment, you should definitely be committed. You're certifiable. So we start with yam, and we make our commitment, we make our plan, we make our definition of the goal. We know where we're trying to go, what is the path, and what is the tangent. We've got criteria by which to discriminate. And then we make niyam, which is a discipline, and we got a budget. I know, how much time can I spend in puja today? What else is on the list? And then I know how much I have to do my work, how much I can afford for play. Can I take a walk today? Can I take a little snooze on the sofa? That's our niyam. We have a little budget. We got to understand every day what's within the budget. Asana. Asana means to make the body sit still. And it means every movement of the body is a reflection of the movement of the mind. If you want to make your mind sit still, you got to start from the outside in. Make your body sit still. Now, we have a number of yogis here in the Devi Mandir, number of bogies. They'll teach you one discipline. The yogis will teach another discipline. But primarily, there are two asanas that we are concerned with when we make our bodies sit still for spiritual communion. And that is swastikasana and padmasana. And all the other asanas are good for health, they're good for flexibility, they're good for longevity, they're good for bragging rights, they're good for all kinds of things. But if you want to sit still in puja, you learn either the swastik asana or the padma asana. But you use asana all throughout the day in every function which you have defined, every function you have determined is important to you. You take out all the cooking ingredients from the refrigerator and you put them in the order that you're going to use them on the countertop. You cut them in the order that they go in. The harder things go in first, the lighter things go in last. Then you mix them all together. You make your desktop an organization, a clarity, appropriate harmony for the works that you are going to do. You segregate your tasks. You don't pile all the papers in one big pile. You put the incoming on this side and the outgoing on this side, and you put the bills to be paid on this side and the revenue to come in on this side. And in some way, in some organization, plus or minus, we organize and we create an asana for every task that we're going to do. We're going to dig in the garden. I need a pick, I need a shovel, I need a rake, I need a hoe, and I don't put them all in one big group. I put them in an order, in an organization, so that I can take the tool that I need for the function I'm going to perform with the greatest efficiency. And this is the asana. According to the yam, we make a niyam. According to the taking control, the sense of responsibility, we make a niyam. Now we're going to talk about 4 different postures that we use in asana. We use the Padma asana in the full lotus. You put the feet on the thighs, cross them. And the swastika asana or siddhasana, as you choose. It means interlocking your feet with the heel in the Muladhara. Virasana, where you sit on your hamstrings. I don't know that anyone does that for a 4 or 5 or 6 hour pot. But they do for a short period of time, for some short meditations.
It is good for after eating.
It's very good for digestion. It's good for a lot of things too. A number of ailments can be cured. But we're talking about the health of the body more than the absorption of the mind. And the Bhadra Asana in the diamond type pose, where you put your feet together like a diamond and make it all conducive to stretching all the muscles down below so that you can sit more readily. And you can do japa in any of those 4 postures. It depends on the length of time that you want to sit there. We are going to ultimately come down to 2 postures that we recommend, the Padmasana and Swastikasana. Now, pranayama is the control of breath. So we've got yam, niyam, asana, pranayama. Well, we've defined the goal and we've made the discipline, and now we've put our body into harmony. Let's put the breath in harmony. Just as before we took the Annamaya Kosha, which was the perception of matter, of anu, of the atoms. And then we came to the Pranamaya Kosha. And then we came to the Manomaya Kosha. And then we came to the light. All the thoughts were merged into light in the Vijnanamaya Kosha. And we took all that light and illuminated the Sat Chit Ananda, the Anandamaya Kosha. And we took the Anandamaya Kosha, all the bliss from that, the perception of infinite consciousness permeating all creation, and we put it into the light of wisdom shining in the Agya Chakra, in the Vijnanamaya Kosha. We took all that light and illuminated the thoughts in the Manomaya Kosha, and all the thoughts came into the Pranamaya Kosha, and we breathed the soul. We breathed our love. We breathed our energy into the Annamaya Kosha, and the whole creation became filled with light. In the same circumstance, in the same way, we're going to take the yam. I've got my goal. And the yam, I've got my discipline. And asana, I've got my body sitting still. And now pranayama, I'm going to control the prana. Prana means breath. Prana means the life force. Now, the breath is a little more gross. You can feel the breath. Maybe you can't see it, but you can sure feel it. But the life force is the subtle body of prana. So we're going to control the life force through the control of breath. And there are 5 kinds of breathing. The prana is inhalation. Apana is exhalation. Udana, bringing the breath up. Samana is holding it absolutely still. It's what we also call kumbhak. And dhyana is an involuntary expulsion of breath or air. Comes out any orifice it chooses. And so these are 5 kinds of air that move in the body. Going in, going out, coming up, holding still, and coming out. A sneeze, a cough, a gasp, and any other kind of air that comes out. There are 3 phases to each breath. There's purak, which is inhalation. Kumbhak, which is retention. Rechak, which is exhalation or expulsion of the air. And we have a classical formula for pranayama called 1-4-2. That is, we use the mantra 1 purak, 4 kumbhak, 2 rechak, and that's classical pranayama. Now, in addition to that, we have so many other techniques of pranayama. For example, every mantra of Sanskrit is written in a chanda. Every chanda is a mathematical formula. So if you inhale the length of one mantra, and you retain the length of 4 mantras, and you exhale the length of 2 mantras, These are ways to count the control of your breath. Use the mantra to count. Am I in the mathematical harmony? Now, there, in addition to what we call classical pranayama, we chant texts. And if you chant a text of mantras, say you inhale one Varna mantra and you retain one Varna mantra, and you exhale 5 mantras of the Chandi.
You can do any mantra.
You could do any mantra.
Right.
Yeah, you will find that your pronunciation of the inhalation mantra and your retention of the inhalation mantra becomes sufficient to express, to recite, to audibly declare how much air you need in order to express the text that you're chanting. So, for example, you could say, Om Stapani Surgitaniko, Yomanukata Testama, Nishamaya Rupating, Visrad Gatatomama. Mahamaya Prabhavinat Yadhabam Bam Pradipa Zabuba Mahavaga Sabani Sanagurabe. Something like that, and you can make it longer and brighter and lighter and as much illumination as you choose to exhibit and experience. That's how deeply we move into meditation through pranayama, through chanting a text. Now, in addition to that, we have other forms of pranayama. One is called Bhastrika. Where the inhalation is equal to the exhalation, and it all comes in. The stomach is a billows. This isn't all fat, you know. I'm full of hot air as well. Avilom bilom. Kapalbhati. And Brahmor. You listen to the subtle sound, the nod that goes on inside after closing off all the gates to the city of God. Well, these are various techniques of pranayama. I'm sure our yoga instructor is going to teach us other techniques. It doesn't matter how many techniques you learn. If you learn just one and practice just one, it will be sufficient to bring you into the harmony with the life force, to control your breath, control your asana, control the movements of your body, to focus on your goal, to focus on the discipline that's going to take you to the goal. Then suddenly all these wandering thoughts become cloistered in the ashram, in the antakaran, in this inner cause. And we come to a position called pratyahar. And it means, pratyahar means to bring the senses inside to a point of focus. So here I'm taking my senses and my mind and all the thoughts that are wandering all over the place. I'm saying, hey mind, Hey senses, come back here, no looking around. I've got a date with a very beautiful lady and I don't want to stand her up. I don't want to be late for my date. She's a number 10.
Why number 10?
Mom, number 10 means she's really good. She's really good. She's not just so-so. She's so good.
Why not 1? Number 1.
Oh, well, we go on a scale from 1 to 10, and number 1 is sort of down on the line. I'm not so interested. And a 10 is I get an A++. So that's our grading scale. We could change the scale if you like, but I don't know how many people will understand what you're saying. In Pratyahara, we create this cloister. We bring all of our senses inside the ashram. We confine the movement of the senses, and we focus. I've got the date is right in front of me. She's right here. I've got this beautiful relationship. I brought you an orga. I brought you a corsage. I'm going to take you out to dinner. I'm going to provide everything I possibly can to demonstrate the sincerity of the respect that I have for you.
You take me dinner?
Well, I won't cook it myself, I promise. I promise I won't cook your dinner. I'll take you to dinner. What happens when I serve you prasad? You give it back to me. Doesn't even taste it. All right. So I created this relationship between me and my murti, me and my deity, and I've put you on the altar, and you can't get down until I'm through worshiping. Javal Tong Puja Ishami, Taval Tong Shustira Baba. You just sit still until I don't complete the last mantra. You're mine until the end of this puja. You can't go anywhere. And that's what Pratyahara does. And now we move to Dharana. And there's 3. Contemplation. We've got a subject, an object, and our relationship. I am your devotee. And Dhanam, there's only 2. Meditation, I and you. And the relationship is so intense, it's intuitively understood. I can't intellectualize it. I can't say I'm your devotee. I'm not even your devotee. There's no name until I move into samadhi. And then there's only you. No me. Just you. And there's only one, and it's the perfection of union. So we've spoken of the 3 types of samadhi. There's a bhav samadhi, savikalpa samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi. And of course, in bhav samadhi, there is this attitude of communion, an awareness of our unity. We are existing on the same plane of reality, doing the same karma. In Savikalpa Samadhi, there's a communion with an idea. I have an idea that you are separate from me. I get to look at you. And in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, there's only one. So it's the old 3, 2, 1. And that's how we progress in Samadhi. And Sa means all. And Ma means the measurement. And Dhi means the mind. And all is the measurement of mind. So where are the boundaries? It's unlimited. It's an infinite mind. Now, there are 5 aspects of the Samadhi. Salokya, Samipya, Sarupya, Sadrishya, Sayuj. And Salokya is an epithet, an upadhi, a declination. It's a description of an attitude of awareness as a bhava. Salukya. You and me are in the same loka. We've got the same paradigm of reality. We're in the same creation. I can't say that you're up there in heaven and I'm down here on earth. Oh, Lord. No, we're on the same plane of reality. So we're in the same paradigm of reality, in the same loka, in the same world together. Samipya, we're doing the same activity. Just as is my deity performing, so also I am performing. We're in this together, honey. We're in the same loka, doing the same karma. You're blessing the world, and I'm giving you enough stuff to bless the world with. Sarupa means you have a form and I have a form, and your form and my form is the same. Because when I look at you, I can't tell, are you the reality or are you the mirror? So just as is her form, so also is my form, and I am looking in a mirror. Hi, Miss Mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall. So you are the perfect reflection of the perfect me that I could aspire to become. This brings us into Sabikalpa, with an idea. You are the best me that I could possibly become. I'm looking at the epitome of perfection. You are Guru, the light in my darkness. And Sadrishya, I am perceiving you, just as you perceive me. So it means Sadrishya, Drishya means perception, with perception. Just as she is perceiving me, so also I am perceiving her, and we have the same perception, and there are only the two of us in existence, and there is no third alternative. Just the rest of them left. There's just you and me. And Sayuj means with union, or the perfection of union. So we go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and there ceases to be a distinction, and there's no difference between you and me. So in Bhav Samadhi, I have Salokya and Samipya. I'm in the same paradigm of reality, doing the same karma. In Sabikalpa Samadhi, I go into Sarupya and Sadrishya. You have the same form as me, and I have the same perception as you. And in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Sayuj, there's only one. There's only we. There's only no kalpana. There's no idea, there's no separation. So then the perfection of union has been accomplished. Yam, niyam, asana, pranayam, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. That's Ashtanga Yoga. And many people call it the 8 limbs of yoga. I like to call it the 8 stepping stones to get to yoga. Because you kind of dance across the stepping stones rather than step in the muck and the mire between the stones. You climb the stones methodically, systematically. Well, to assist us in climbing that ladder of yoga, of the philosophy of yoga, we talk about the next series of philosophy, or the next in the series of philosophies, and that's called Purva Mimamsa. And Purva Mimamsa actually means tantra. The synthesis of all the spiritual knowledge that we've gathered, and we offer it with devotion. And tantra means to weave like the warp and the woof of a cloth, and weaving together the various forms of knowledge into one discipline. So now we're going to weave together the tapestry of sadhana. All that we've learned from day one about Sanskrit, about Vyakaran, Ucharan, Darshan Shastra, Jyotish, Pradoti, and Itihas, and Sahitya. All the limbs of Sanskrit, all the limbs of yoga, all the systems of philosophy. We're going to weave all of this together into the tapestry of my sadhana. And now we're going to take 36 steps to move from the outside to the inside. We'll make it even more subtle than the 24 steps. We'll make little intermediate steps in between. So we can go tripping along the stepping stones. And those 36 principles of tantra in the Purva Mimamsa, which is all the puja padoti, all the homa, the sangeet, the nrit, the pat, the pravachan, the arpon. All of this comes together. It all weaves together. It's the tapestry of life. Every experience, all the bimarsh, every experience we have had in our lives from day one to day today, it's all going to come together and make sense. We can use it all. Nothing is excluded, and we're going to start these 36 principles from the top down. It starts with Shiv. Sada Shiv. And Sada Shiv is pure consciousness, and Shakti is pure energy. And these are two separate principles united as one, called Ardhanarishwar. It's Ardhanar or Ardhanari, but it's Ishwar nonetheless. You can't tell when you mix the sugar in the milk. Where's the milk and where's the sugar? Can you take the salt out of the water? Maybe you can with desalination processes. But generally speaking, the Purush and the Prakriti are so interwoven. The Sada, Shiv, and Shakti are so connected, you can't tell where she leaves off and he begins. Or there is nowhere where she is present and he is not. There is no way to separate Shiv from Shakti, so they are united as one, and that's called Ishwar. And Ishwar is the principle of union between Shiva and Shakti, and we're also saying this Purush and Prakriti, and I'll describe to you the differences. It's called Ardhanarishwar, which is both male and female. Now, this Ardhanarishwar, or this Ishwar Tattva, the principle of God as male and female, as consciousness and nature, as the capacity of nature to express herself through being this conscious individual, is known through Shuddha Vidya. And that means pure knowledge. Shuddha Vidya is pure knowledge. And you've seen the picture of Shiva sitting with his eyes just barely opening. And he's saying, I have a feeling there might be something other. There might be something out there. And that's Shuddha Vidya, because he is totally contained within himself. He's pure consciousness, and yet he has an apprehension of the presence of Shakti. He has the apprehension of a presence of nature, although it's not defined until he opens his eyes completely and says, aha. There's something out there. There's something different from me. And that's called Maya. And Maya is the next principle. She is different from me. I am Shiva, and there she is. She's the Divine Mother, the measurement or limitation of consciousness. Now, if she didn't have a form, I would just keep saying completely until there was no end where I could see to. If there was no other form there, I would just see and see and see ad infinitum. As soon as you have one form, you have in front of the form and a behind the form, and to the left of the form and to the right of the form. So Maya means to measure. And she measures the limits of infinity. Because there's an in front and an back. And there's a the right and the left. And there is an embodiment of the form. She is a container of consciousness, the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother who has a relationship to Shiva. There is Shakti and there is Shiva. So we've got Sadashiva, Shakti, Ishwar, Shuddvidya, and Maya. These are the first 5 principles of the 36. Now this Maya is qualified through Kanchukas. And there's 5 Kanchukas. Maya is perceived through the Panch Kanchuk. There are limitations or modes of perception. There's Kal, Niyati, Rag, Vidya, and Kala. And these 5 modes of perception qualify the perception. So that everything we see is perceived and understood in terms of time, space, activity, knowledge, and attribute. Time, I saw it right now. I just saw it, or I saw it before. I may see it again in the future. Niyati is space. There she is. She's occupying this much space. In the total scope of all that is perceivable, this Divine Mother is occupying a certain amount of space. She's a certain distance from me. Maybe she'll come closer. Be content with small gains. Raga, she's doing something. There's an activity. There's something, she's doing something. I can see she's reading the book, she's looking around, she's got some activity. There's vidya, there's a root and there's a noun. There's a form which corresponds to the name of that form, and we call that form Shrima, the respected Holy Mother. And that constitutes knowledge. And there's Kala, there's an attribute. She's shining, she's golden, she's radiant, she's loving, she's generous, she's kind, just to mention a few. Those are upadhis, or kala. Those are. So everything that we perceive it by means of these panch kanchukas, these 5 limitations which limit and define that object of perception. In terms of time, space, activity, attribute, and knowledge. So the first 10 principles from Shiv and Shakti and Ishwar and Shuddvidya and Maya and time, space, activity, knowledge, and attribute, those are the first 10. And here we have the Purush. Now, Purush has been qualified to be different from Shiv because of these 10 attributes. So Purush is a little bit lower on the scale than Sadashiv. Sadashiv is eternal beyond form. And Purush is eternal with form. So this Purush, full, complete, and perfect consciousness is the embodiment, the individual consciousness, as compared to Sadashiv, which is the universal consciousness. And Prakriti is the embodiment of nature. Whereas Maya is all the nature, the measurement of all existence, Prakriti is a defined measurement, the measurement of a defined portion of nature. And these are the distinctions when we talk about the 36 principles. Now, again, we have, as the Prakriti embodies the 24 principles, and you add to that the 10 that we just did, and plus Purush, that's 35, and we have one more. So we'll have the antakaran, which is our ahamkar, chitta, buddhi, and mon. So the ahamkar is the concept of me, ego, I am the experiencer. The chitta is the totality of all cognition, comprised of buddhi and mon. So it's all of my objective recollection and all of my subjective recollection. The buddhi, of course, is all the objective knowledge, what is, all the nouns and verbs of experience. The mon is all the subjective knowledge, or what we think about what is. The adjectives and adverbs of experience. And buddhi says this is a book, and mon says this is a good book. And the good is the interpretation of the mon. And both together are chitta, the objective and subjective experience, the world as it is and the world as we think it to be, and our relationship to it. So we're qualifying the world. We have the next 20 principles, defining the gross world and our relation to it. We have the 5 tongue matras, the sight, sound, smell, taste, and feeling. We have the 5 mahabhutas, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. That's 10. We have the 5 gyanendriyas, the eyes, ears, nose, mouth, or tongue, and skin. And we have the 5 karmendriyas, the upper appendages, lower appendages, tongue, reproductive organs, and anus. So, again, we've got these principles disclose how divinity descended into manifested existence. And in order to go back, we're going to take the same path. It works the same way. Reverse the process. And that's just how God descended into manifested existence. Now we, as sadhus, are going to ascend into unmanifest existence. We're going to control the organs of action. That's an asana. Sit still. Because they are the ones that interact with the outside world. We're going to control the karmendriyas. We're going to cloister our senses and focus everything so that we can pay attention to one thing. And then the gyanendriyas, the organs of knowledge, the organs of action, the organs of knowledge. Now, recognizing the 5 elements of existence and their 5 objects of perception in the subtle body, that's earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and sight, sound, smell, taste, and feeling, let your energy climb the chakras and put the 24 principles into the balance of harmony. So every time we sit down, we do this. You sit in an asana, and you control your karmendriyas. You focus your attention and you control your gyanendriyas. You perceive inside that everything that I saw outside came inside through the senses, and now I see all those visions and I make the relationships to them, and now I put them all into the harmony of light and the balance of harmony, and I come to the antakara, the inner cause of mon, all the subjective thoughts, buddhi, all the objective thoughts, chitta, all the thoughts, ahamkar, me. And I've just completed the 24 principles. Every time you sit down, whether you're going to do the Chandipat or the Cosmic Puja or a beginner Shiva Puja, doesn't matter, you are doing the same process. Every time, every meditation technique, whether you look at your nose or your belly button or your third eye, it doesn't matter, you're doing the same technique. This is the order of the principles. No matter what, if you study just this much, it'll make your pujas so much more efficient because you understand exactly what you're doing. Every time you sit down, you're going to control your organs of action. You're going to control your organs of knowledge. You're going to focus your attention and look inside and see the relationship of the outside world to the inside world. And then you're going to take all the opinions and throw them in the garbage. You're going to take all the attitudes and attributes of all of everything and try to strive for pure objective knowledge until you come to, who am I? Etikata Pushpe. This is the process every time. Now, we put the Mon, Buddhi, Chitta into balance, control the ego, ahankar, and this is the body of Prakriti. This is my individual nature. The body of nature expressed through the individual, perceived by Purush. And this Purusha has been perceived in time, space, activity, knowledge, and attribute. Kal, Niyati, Raga, Vidya, and Kala. These Panchkanchukas, these 5 limitations that made Shiv, Sadashiv, into a Purush. Now, my Ahamkar says, Shiva Aham. By moving between or beyond these modes of perception, which constitute 31 principles, we move into Maya. 24 principles of Prakriti. The Antakarana is 4. 5 Tanmatras. 5 Mahabhutas, that's 14. 5 Karmendriyas. 5 Gyanendriyas, that's 24. Purush, 25. 5 Kanchukas, 30. And Sadashiv, Shakti, Ishwar, Shuddhvidya, and Maya. We move into Maya, which constitute the 31 principles. We move into Maya, and then we see Shiv in Shuddhvidya, faintly aware that there is another outside, and let him close his eyes. There he is, Sadashiv. And he thinks there might be something out there. There might be something different from me. And then he closes their eyes and says, bah, why deal with that? Let's go inside and see the one. And then Ishwar is next, and then Shakti and Sadashiv. These are the 36 principles which are the path to absorption in the unmanifest. Now, in descending order from the start, we have Sadashiva, Shakti, Ishwar, Shuddhvidya, and Maya. We have Kal, Niyati, Raga, Vidya, and Kala. We have Shiva and Shakti and Ishwar. We know that. Shuddhvidya is when he opens his eyes a little bit. It says there might be something else out there. Maya, there is something out there. Kal is time, Niyati is space, Raga is activity, Vidya is knowledge, Kala is attribute. We have Purush, Prakriti, Ahamkar, Chitta, Buddhi, and Mon. That's 16. We have sight, sound, smell, taste, and feel. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. That's 26. The Gyanendriyas, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. That's 31. And the Karmendriyas, the upper appendages, lower appendages, tongue, reproductive organ, and anus. That's 36. And that's how he descended into manifested existence. Now, our job, our goal, our challenge, our highest privilege is to follow the breadcrumbs like Hansel and Gretel. Follow the path right back up to where he went. Control your Karmendriyas, control your Gyanendriyas. Look inside and see what you see. And see the 5 Mahabhutas, that all is earth, air, fire, water, and ether. And see the perceptions of the senses. And we have the first 20 principles. And then go see the Antakaran, the inner cause of Mon, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahamkar, and Prakriti, and Purush. And then we have the 5 kanchukas, the limitations of consciousness, limitations of perception. And we have the 5 maya, Shuddhvidya, Ishwar, Prakriti, or Shakti, and Sada Shiv, Shivoham. And these are the 36 principles through which we ascend, the same as which he used to descend. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Let's see if there are any questions. I know we tiptoed over a lot of stepping stones today, but at least you may have enjoyed your trip. Yes, please.
It seems like when we're climbing into subtler realms, we're going to be using pratyaksh, and then pratyay, and then prakash. Is that the case?
Yes.
And so, I guess my question is, how do we develop the prakash so that we can enter into these higher realms?
First of all, study pratyay. You know the pratyaksh. You know when you've seen something empirically. So study the concept. Memorize the map. Try to get an idea where you're trying to go. Get a good concept of how the path works and how they all work together and how they all join together. And when you've got a good enough concept, then you'll guide your awareness into the prakash. You can only use the tools that are available to you. Right now you have pratyaksh. Now start to begin to study the pratyay, the concepts of the map. Memorize the map as though it was a daily journey for you. So you don't even need the book. You can just call off the signpost and say, my car knows where to turn. I don't even have to read the map anymore. I know where I'm going. And then pretty soon it'll become second nature to you.
But they are doing every day, you know.
Yes, they are doing everything.
Every day, but they don't have a Bible.
Well, they haven't memorized the map, and they don't have a clear understanding of what they are doing every day.
Yeah.
So now we're giving you a context to understand what you're doing every day, and in our next session, we're going to be talking about the padoti, or the puja padoti, the system of weaving together all your knowledge into your offering and making the mantras and the yantras and the tantras work for you in the context of this roadmap. So that's how you cultivate that more and more subtle appreciation and understanding and capacity to move into that level of consciousness where you have a prakash, you have an illumination. Are there other questions, please?
We have a question from Usha.
Namaste, Ushama.
Would the 5th principle of Maya correspond to Mahalakshmi or Rajas, since the Chandi teaches that everything comes from her?
Well, you could say that, or you could say the first principle of Shakti. Sarvas Adya Mahalakshmi, Triguna Parameshwari. She is first and foremost. So you could say, yeah, she's Maya. That's okay. But you could also say she's beyond Maya. She is Shakti Tattva. So that's another way of expressing it. She, as Shakti, has become limited through the modes of perception. Through Kal, Niyati, Raga, Vidya, and Kala. She has become limited. So first and foremost, she's Triguna Parameshwari. She is the supreme goddess beyond the 3 gunas. So Shakti would be also a correct answer to that question. Are there other questions? Please.
We also have a question from Papia.
Namaste, Papia.
If for health reasons we can't sit in an asana and we use a chair, is it less effective?
Yes. But it's better than doing nothing. Of course it's less effective. But there are certain principles. We want to keep our backbone straight. We want to keep our head erect. We want to keep our attention focused. There are certain things that you must do. If you sit like this, you can't do pranayama. In fact, it's hard to breathe at all. So you want to sit in such a way where you can let it all hang out. You'll breathe and use the entirety of your breathing apparatus. And that will be called pranayama. And you'll do the best that you can do under the circumstances. You can't do it all, then do what you're joto korte paribe. I've got a broken foot here. I can't do it all. But I'm doing what I can be doing when I'm doing it. And I'm trying to get better at it. So do as much as you can do, Papi. And don't worry about what you're not doing. Worry about what you're doing. Think about the privilege of having a path and having a map and having rishis proclaim this map as a way that you can move your attention beyond the qualifications of this immediate manifested existence into the unqualified pure knowledge, into the pure existence of Sadashiva and Shakti. What a privilege.
I have a question.
Please.
Why is the state called Shuddha Vidya? Why is it called pure knowledge when Shiva thinks maybe there's something other than it?
Oh, it is because he's still contained within, and he's almost got an apprehension that there's something without, and that is the most pure knowledge that he could have, because when he opens his eyes and sees Maya, things change, even for sheep. Other questions, please? Yes, please.
Swamiji, is Sadashiva then Paramatman and Purusha Jivatman?
Yes, perfect. Perfect analogy. Sadashiva is Paramatma and Purush is Jivatma. So there you are, Purush is qualified. He is a little bit less than the eternal Paramatma. The supreme soul which is unmanifest. Purush is manifest. Now he is the qualified perfection of the supreme soul. He's the perfect manifestation of the supreme divinity. But he's a manifestation which is something less than the infinite beyond conception. Yes, please.
What exactly is the difference between Sarupya Samadhi and Sadrishya? Or are they two aspects of the same?
They're two aspects of the same thing. When you see the form, so there's perception and there's form. When you are one with the formless, there is only one. Are there other questions? Yes, please.
In the process of purification, it seems like we have fire as the element that purifies. We have vidya as the element that purifies, that keeps bringing us into these higher realms. Is that the case? Is there a key to each one of these stages as we rise?
A key. Yes, there is a key to each one of these stages, but it's not exactly fire and knowledge. Fire and knowledge are poetical expressions. The way that we rise through it is by weaving our knowledge together into one contiguous application. You're doing puja, and you're making offerings, and you're controlling your karmendriyas, you're controlling your gyanendriyas, you're controlling your thoughts, your perceptions, you're moving your consciousness, awareness into the relationship between the subject and the object, between the devotee and the deity. And this cultivation of the relationship is the puja. It's not just can I say the mantras, or not just can I put the flowers in the right places, or can I say the mantra and put the flower at the same time? But I want to go in because I'm taking that flower not from the basket, I'm taking it out of the garden of delight. It's coming from my heart. And in this garden of delight, all the objects of our puja are available. So we reach into the basket in the garden of delight, pick the flower, and offer that flower along with all the bhavana, all the feeling, all the attitude, all the knowledge, all the experience which communicates to you the sincerity of my devotion. And then we have a different experience. The puja is not outside. The puja is inside. Outside is just what I'm showing to you outside. Inside and out, they're all one. I'm in union, I'm in harmony. I come to a place of, I've given birth to the highest merit, the privilege of sitting in the presence of my beloved deity. We're in Salokya and Samipya, Sarupya, Sadrishya, Sayuj. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste.